Okay, I'm going to try to share my journey and some of the events that have taken place. It's going to be difficult, though, because it's just a rough draft of thoughts. Let's see what happens. I don't know if Todd had anything to do with this or not, okay? I don't know if he brought something into the apartment or if it was just the timing. But I will say that when I lived with him briefly back in 2003 at Peacock Run, there was a little bit of scary stuff going on there too. But that was so brief that it was barely even worth mentioning. Okay, so I moved into the apartment in Stuart February 1st, 2014. Lived there with Jenny and Shane all the way up until Todd moved in by ourselves and nothing ever happened. No ghost stuff, no bad stuff, nothing. Completely innocent, safe, happy life. And we were Christians, devout Christians. I literally would have taken a bullet for the name of Christ. And I'm not even joking. Like, that was a thing. Like, that was how hardcore dedicated I was. Todd moved in on September 7th, 2014, so 7 months later. In hindsight, things started going wrong immediately. I just didn't really see it right away. It started with him just being mean, but subtly and behind the scenes, never around the kids. Mean to me, and I just kind of blew it off because I'm a people pleaser and have low self-esteem and daddy issues, and so bend over backwards to make anybody, specifically a man, happy, unfortunately. And my phone just threw itself at me, but I didn't think for a second that this was going to go smoothly. Anyway, Todd moves in. When he moved in, the day he moved in, he brought a bottle of whiskey, Maker's Mark, half gone. So I'm like, oh, well, whatever. He doesn't drink much, obviously. He's been sitting there forever. So one night, we decided to play some games, Jenga or whatever, and why not? Let's have a drink. Okay, I'm an adult. Let's do it. Long story short, that very quickly led into drinking every single night, and astronomical amounts. I mean to tell you, when we first started getting just the 750 bottles, the 0.750 milliliter bottles or whatever it is, we would finish that off in one night between the two of us. That was nothing. We ended up going to the big handle bottles, the big 1.75 liter bottles, and finishing those off in a night, maybe two, between the two of us. A bottle like that would last a normal person a freaking lifetime. Absolutely disgusting. Getting drunk, fighting, bad stuff, led into complete violence. Todd punched me in the face, right hooked me, knocked me out for a second. I blacked out for a second. He has slapped me in the face, knocked my glasses off. He's choked me out to the point where I felt I had strep throat for a month after that. He would hit me on the head with a water bottle and tell me the only reason I'm alive is because he's allowing me to be alive. He would call me every name in the book, every insult in the book. I mean, just absolutely horrendous abuse. I had bruised ribs from him. I had scratch marks. I've had blood. I mean, I had two gigantic black eyes, a softball size bump on my head, a hematoma that drained into my freaking face, okay? Horrible violence, horrible verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. And then the poltergeist style stuff started happening. Like, where it was so obvious that that place was haunted. I actually saw apparitions. I saw an apparition of what I now know is called the Hat Man. I went to the refrigerator one night while Todd was sitting on the couch, and I went over and I was looking for a snack or whatever, and I bent down and looking in there, and I feel Todd come up to me. So with a smile, I turn around. I'm like, hey, I was going to ask him if he wanted something. He wasn't there. The Hat Man was. I don't care how insane that sounds. Let me tell you this. First of all, it was only like a fraction of a second and it was gone. It was like a quick burst vision and then it was gone. But I had never heard of the Hat Man. I've never seen it. I never heard stories, nothing like that. What I saw was a very, very tall shadow figure, taller than me. I'm about 6 foot tall. This thing was probably 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", I don't know. It was taller than me. And there was no features. It was literally a shadow person. Obviously a male energy, and brimmed hat. So a shadow figure of a big, large man with a brimmed hat. I'm like, what? I stood there in awe, in silence, in shock. And Todd, after a few seconds, is like, are you okay? What's wrong? What's going on? And I told him what I had just seen. So that was, whoa. Okay, another apparition I saw. I was walking towards the front door to go get Shane from school. Me and Jenny were about to go pick up Shane from school. And I'm looking down at my phone doing something as I'm walking towards the front door. And in my peripheral vision, I see Jenny walking in the other direction in the kitchen. Like she's, whatever, doing something in the kitchen. And in my peripherals, I never looked at her, but I saw her in my peripheral as I'm doing something on my phone. And I see her stop, look over at me, and then playfully run into the laundry room like she's going to hide on me. And I go, Jenny, I don't have time for this. We have to go. Come on, we're running late already. Let's go. I hear nothing. I'm like, Jenny, I don't have time. Let's go. Stop screwing around. And all of a sudden, I hear her go, what, Oma? What'd you say? From her bedroom on the other side of the apartment. I'm like, so I ran into the laundry room. Sure enough, nothing there. Nobody there. No. That wasn't a shadow person. That was a full-on Jenny. Color, everything, her. But no, it wasn't. One of my most legendary stories of that apartment is the night Todd and I were playing Jenga. And if you know Jenga, you build up the tower of little blocks. There's 3 blocks, and then the next level is 3 going the other way, and then the other way, and the other way until you have this big block tower. And then you take turns pulling a piece out and putting it on top without knocking it over. I just got done building the tower, and we're ready to go. And we're both just standing at the table. We haven't sat down yet. We're just getting ready, getting our whiskey ready and whatever. All of a sudden, the bottom right block turns itself 90 degrees. And we're both so taken back. But I, in a state of shock and survival mode, take my finger and push it back in place. Now, with as much force as I pushed that thing back into place, it pushes itself back out again. I'm still in complete shock. Todd's hiding over there somewhere. I pushed it back in again, and then it stayed. I look back at Todd. I've never seen anybody so scared. His eyes were as big as possible, and he was backing up in silence. It was terrifying. Some may say, oh, there was moisture on the table, there was air on the table. No, trust me, I searched, I investigated. And even if there was like a water puddle or an air pocket, that thing came out with force. When I tell you, I used my finger to push that thing, it pushed itself back on my finger. So, needless to say, we didn't play Jenga that night. Another one night, Todd and I were sitting on the couch watching TV. It was evening time, still kind of light out. The kids were outside playing down on the playground. So it was just Todd and I in the apartment with Roxy. All 3 of us were in the living room. And Shane had a little nightstand in his room. Old-fashioned nightstand with the little metal handle. You know, if you were to lift it up and let it go, it would make a noise as it, hit the wood drawer. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, nobody's there but us in the living room, and we hear that handle. As if somebody picked it up and let it go and make all that noise. One night on our way to bed, we had a blanket out in the living room. Walking back to the bedroom, Todd experienced this one. He was dragging a blanket down the hallways, just dragging on the floor, whatever. And he all of a sudden stops and says, was Roxy just on the blanket? I go, no, what are you talking about? And he goes, were you pulling on this blanket? Because something was pulling on this blanket, like with force, trying to get it out of my hand. I'm running out of time. Stay tuned for part 2.